I've always loved shopping during the holidays. There's something about the artificial warmth of a mall in December. The music, the lights, the fake snow, that makes everything feel safer than it really is. That night, I stayed later than I should have. The mall was closing, stores pulling down their gates one by one, and the crowds thinning into scattered silhouettes drifting toward the exits. I had a few bags in my hands, nothing too heavy, just enough to make the trip feel productive. I remember sitting down on a bench near the giant Christmas tree in the center court. It was one of those towering displays covered in gold ribbons and blinking white lights, casting this soft glow over everything nearby. That's when he sat next to me. I didn't think much of it at first. People sit on benches all the time. He smelled faintly of cologne, something old-fashioned, like something your grandfather might wear. When I glanced over, he smiled politely, like he'd been waiting for me to look. "Long night?" he asked. His voice was calm, too calm. We made small talk, nothing strange on the surface. He said he'd been coming to the mall for years, said it used to be busier, livelier. He talked like he was reminiscing, but something about the way he kept looking at me made it feel like he wasn't talking about the mall at all. At one point he said I reminded him of someone. Then he pulled out his phone and showed me a picture. It was a girl around my age. She wasn't smiling. The photo looked wrong. Not like a normal picture you'd show someone casually. It looked zoomed in, taken from a distance, like the person in it didn't know they were being photographed. I told him I didn't see the resemblance. He just smiled wider. That was when I decided to leave. I said goodbye, stood up, and walked away without looking back. I didn't want to risk seeing him watching me. The parking lot was colder than I expected. Empty too. Most of the cars were gone, leaving long rows of silence broken only by the occasional distant engine. I unlocked my car quickly and got inside. For a few minutes, everything felt normal. The drive home was short, familiar. Streetlights passed rhythmically over the windshield, and I started to relax. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown accessory detected moving with you. At first, I didn't understand what it meant. Then it clicked. An Airtag. My chest tightened instantly. I didn't pull into my driveway when I reached my street. Instead, I kept driving, looping around the neighborhood as my hands started to shake on the steering wheel. I followed the instructions on my phone to make it play a sound. A faint beeping started. Inside the car, I pulled over under a streetlight and tore through my shopping bags, my breath getting shorter with every second. The sound got louder. It was coming from one of the smaller bags. I dumped everything onto the passenger seat until I saw it, a small white disc tucked into the corner like it belonged there. For a second, I just stared at it. Then I grabbed it and threw it out the window as hard as I could. I didn't even watch where it landed. I just drove. When I got home, I rushed inside, locking the door behind me so fast I almost dropped my keys. The house felt too quiet, too still. I called my brother immediately. He tried to calm me down, told me it was probably nothing, but I could hear something in his voice shift when I explained everything. "Call me if anything happens," he said. That didn't help. I sat in the living room with the lights on, the TV playing something meaningless just to fill the silence. Every small sound made my heart jump. Minutes passed, maybe longer. Then the doorbell rang. I froze. It rang again. Then came 3 slow, deliberate knocks. My stomach dropped. I moved toward the door carefully, each step feeling heavier than the last. The glass panel beside the door distorted shapes outside, but I could see a figure standing there. Then I heard his voice. "Hey," he said softly. "You took something that belongs to me." I didn't answer. "I know you're in there," he continued. "I watched you come in." My throat went dry. "I think you dropped my Airtag," he added, almost casually. "Easy mistake." I backed away from the door. He knocked again, louder this time. "Open the door," he said, his tone shifting slightly. "We can fix this." I didn't move. After a few seconds, the knocking stopped. Silence. I waited, barely breathing, listening for anything. Footsteps, but not walking away. Moving, around the house. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. I turned off the TV. That was when I heard it. A faint tapping sound. From the side of the house. Slow, rhythmic. I turned my head toward the living room window. At first, I didn't see anything. Then I saw movement. He was standing right outside, closer than I expected. For slow, close enough that his hand was pressed flat against the glass. His face was partially obscured by the reflection of the room, but I could see his smile. It was wider now. Wrong. He tapped the glass again. "Found you," he whispered, his voice barely audible through the pain. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over the couch. He tilted his head slightly, watching me like I was something interesting. Not like a person, like something he owned. I ran, not outside, not anywhere near him. I ran deeper into the house, locking myself in the small office where there were no windows. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone while dialing 911. I could still hear faint noises outside. Movement. Maybe footsteps. Maybe nothing. Every second felt stretched, like time had slowed just to make it worse. Then I heard a car pull into the driveway. My brother. Relief hit me so suddenly it almost made me dizzy. I stayed where I was until I heard the front door open and his voice calling my name. When we finally checked the window together, the man was gone. No footprints, no signs, nothing. Just the quiet street outside, like nothing had ever happened. The police came, took a report, asked questions they already knew I couldn't answer. They checked the area, but there was nothing to find. It was like he had never been there at all. But I know he was, because the next morning, when I went to leave the house, there was something sitting on my car. A small, white object. Another Airtag. And this time, it was already activated. My name is Claire, and before all of this, I used to believe that fear had a limit. That there was always a point where logic would step in and calm you down, where things would make sense again. I don't believe that anymore. I moved to the city for a promotion that felt bigger on paper than it did in reality. It was supposed to be a fresh start. New apartment, new routine, new version of myself. The place I rented wasn't anything special, just a modern building with clean hallways, secure entry, and cameras in all the right places. The kind of place that makes you feel safe without actually proving that it is. For the first few weeks, everything was normal. Work, gym, grocery store, repeat. I didn't know anyone yet, and I liked it that way. There was comfort in anonymity. The first thing happened on a Thursday night. I had just gotten home from work, exhausted, and collapsed onto my couch with my phone in my hand. That's when I noticed a notification I'd never seen before. Unknown accessory detected moving with you. At first, I thought it was some kind of glitch. I'd heard about these things, Airtags or something similar, but I never imagined I'd see one in my own notifications. I tapped on it, and my stomach dropped. The alert showed a map. A line traced my movements throughout the day, from my apartment to my office, from my office to the grocery store, from the grocery store back home. It had been following me the entire time. I sat up straight, suddenly wide awake. My eyes darted around the apartment like I expected to find someone standing there watching me. I checked my purse first, then my jacket pockets. Nothing. Then I checked my car. I went through everything. Glove compartment, center console, under the seats, inside the trunk. I even ran my hands along the seams of the upholstery. Nothing. But the notification didn't go away. It kept updating, still moving with you. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I convinced myself it was a mistake, some kind of technical error. But when I got into my car to go to work, the notification popped up again almost immediately. Still there, still tracking. This time, I didn't ignore it. I drove straight to a crowded parking garage downtown and sat there, engine off, heart pounding. If someone had placed it on my car, maybe they'd come looking for it. I waited. 10 minutes. 20. An hour. No one came. That should have made me feel better, but it didn't. It made it worse. Because it meant whoever put it there didn't need to retrieve it. They just needed to watch. After work, I went back to my car and searched again, this time with a flashlight. I crawled under the seats, pressed into every gap, checked places I didn't even know existed. That's when I found it, tucked deep inside the fabric lining beneath the back seat, barely visible unless you knew exactly where to look. A small round device. I just stared at it for a long time before touching it. It felt deliberate, like it hadn't just been placed there quickly. It had been hidden carefully, planned. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't want to destroy it in case I needed it as evidence, but I also didn't want it active. So I did the only thing I could think of. I removed the battery. The silence that followed was almost worse. For a moment, I felt relief, like I had cut off whatever invisible connection had been following me. But then another thought crept in. Whoever placed it would know. That night, I locked my doors twice, checked my windows 3 times. I even pushed a chair up against the front door, something I hadn't done since I was a kid afraid of monsters. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself it was over. It wasn't. 2 nights later, I came home late from work. The hallway outside my apartment was empty as usual. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. I reached into my bag for my keys. Then I froze. My door was slightly open, not wide, just enough that I could see a sliver of darkness inside. I stood there for what felt like minutes, trying to process what I was looking at. I knew I had locked it that morning. I always locked it. I didn't go inside. Instead, I backed away slowly, my eyes never leaving the door, and walked straight back to the elevator. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely press the button. I called the police from my car. They arrived within 15 minutes and checked the apartment thoroughly. I watched from the hallway as they moved through each room, opening closets, checking under the bed. When they came back out, they told me everything looked fine. No signs of forced entry, nothing missing, nothing out of place. I showed them the tracking notification history and the Airtag. I told them everything. They asked if I knew anyone who might want to follow me. I said no. They asked if I had any exes, anyone who had made me uncomfortable. I said no again. They nodded, wrote something down, and told me to be careful. That was it. After they left, I stood in my apartment and looked around. Everything looked exactly the same, but it didn't feel the same. It felt wrong, like the air had shifted, like something had been there and left something behind. I barely slept that night. Over the next few days, things got quieter. Too quiet. No notifications, no strange cars, no signs of anyone watching me. I started to think maybe it was over. Maybe whoever it was had gotten scared off by the police. I even started to relax a little until the emails started. The first one came late at night. No subject line, no sender name, just a blank address. I almost deleted it without opening it. I wish I had. Inside was a single photo. It was me, taken from behind. I was unlocking my car in the parking garage at work. I zoomed in, my breath catching in my throat. The angle, it wasn't from a distance. It was close, too close. Like whoever took it had been standing just a few feet behind me. The next email came the following night. Another photo. This time it was my apartment door. From the inside, I dropped my phone. I couldn't breathe. There was no way. The police had checked everything. No one was inside. No one had been inside. But the picture was real. It had to be. More emails followed. Photos of me at the grocery store, at the gym, walking down the street, always from behind, always too close. And then one night there was a video. I stared at the thumbnail for a long time before pressing play. The footage was shaky, dark. It took me a few seconds to realize what I was looking at. My bedroom. The camera was positioned low, near the floor, pointing at my bed. I was asleep, completely unaware. The video lasted for over an hour. Nothing happened. I just slept. But near the end, something changed. The camera shifted slightly, as if someone had picked it up. The angle tilted upward, and for a brief second, before the video cut off, I saw something move at the edge of the frame. A shadow, standing right beside my bed. I didn't go back to that apartment after that. I packed a bag the next morning and left. I didn't even bother with most of my things. I just needed to get out. I stayed with a friend for a few weeks before finding a new place across the city. New building, new locks, new everything. I changed my number, deleted my accounts, tried to erase any trace of myself online. And for a while it worked. No emails, no photos, no signs of anyone watching me. I started to feel normal again. Or at least something close to it. Until last week. I came home late just like before. Same routine, same quiet hallway. I unlocked my door, stepped inside and locked it behind me. Everything was exactly where I left it. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Then I noticed something on the kitchen counter, a small familiar object, round, smooth, white, an Airtag. My stomach twisted as I slowly stepped closer. There was a piece of tape stuck to it, a note, 3 words written in neat, careful handwriting. I found you.